Today on our 2017 Buick Encore, we're going to take a look at and also show you how to install the Curt T-connector vehicle wiring harness with the 4-pole flat trailer connector. Part number is C56363. Now when it's time to use your wiring, you want to pull up the tray here on the floor. You'll have it located right down here in the storage compartment. And you'll pull out whatever length you'll need to make the connection to your trailer. That's going to rest right over top of that weather stripping, and when we close the door, that's going to give us the protection and keep it from pinching it. The one area to avoid would be the striker area here, because that will cause damage to the wiring. Here's what your wiring harness is going to look like when you pull it out of the packaging. This is the main goal, of course, having a 4-pole flat trailer connector available at the rear of your vehicle to power your cargo carrier or your trailer. This is going to give right turn and brake signal, left turn and brake signal, running light signal, and also ground to make sure everything works properly. Now it delivers 3 amps per turn and brake circuit and 6 amps per the running light circuits. So you should have more than enough power to power the lights on any trailer or cargo carrier you're going to have behind your Encore. Now to do this, it's going to gain signals from behind the driver's side taillight with the red, yellow, brown, and white wires, and from the passenger side taillight with the green wire. That then goes into our converter box. Now this is going to convert those into a usable 4-pole signal for whatever you might be hauling. The benefit to this box is that we're not drawing power through the vehicle's lighting system to light the lights on the trailer. It gets that from the 12-volt power wire. So we're not going to be overloading or stressing the vehicle's lighting system. This box also helps to protect the vehicle side from the trailer side. If your trailer has shorts in it or anything like that, this is going to prevent that from being transferred back into your vehicle's wiring. Now the name T-connector comes from our plug style. You see, we're going to have 2 factory plugs. They're going to plug directly in line with our vehicle's wiring harness, so there's no splicing, cutting, or anything like that required. The power wire, which we run to the battery, will have our bulk of wire to help do that job. And we're also going to have a fuse holder to protect it and the 10 amp fuse that we'll need. We're also going to have some hardware for connecting to our battery, for securing our ground wire, and there's a dust cover that'll fit right around the end of the plug and keep it protected. Now the butt connectors they provide, since we do make our connections on the outside of the vehicle, we're going to replace these with a heat shrink butt connector, which will be part number DW05745 anytime we're using one of these on the exterior of the vehicle. You're also going to have a few zip ties here to help get everything tidied up, and some double-sided foam tape to secure our box. It's a good idea to have some extra zip ties on hand. This typically isn't going to be enough to get your wire ran up front and get everything secured. Now to begin our installation, we need to remove the floor coverings and anything stored underneath there. We're going to pull these panels. That's going to allow us access to those lighting harnesses. Now on each side of the foam insert here, there's going to be a little nut. It helps hold that down. It looks just like that. And you'll use a T45 Torx bit to loosen that up. And we'll just pull that out. You get a little bit of double-sided tape that kind of holds it down in place. Now with the 10mm socket, we'll remove the 2 tie downs. And if we start on one side, we can lift that up, release the clips as we go, and we'll set this aside. Now we're going to start at the outer edge here. Just want to pry out gently from behind this panel and release it. All right, that's about all the room we're going to need here on the passenger side. We just need to get our wiring up behind. Pulling this panel is actually your best way to access that harness. It should be located right there. Now we're going to do the same thing here on the driver's side. But on this side, we do need to get a little bit more room. We're going to be mounting our box and things like that behind there. So we'll go beyond that split and release the clips up here a little higher as well. We can get a little bit more room if we'll take this cargo cover out. You just want to push in the tab located on our connector there. That'll allow us to separate our plug. We're going to insert our T-connector plugs. You want to push those together until you hear the small click, and then just pull them apart and make sure they don't separate. Then we'll plug that right into the factory connector. We need to attach our ground wire as well. And conveniently located right down here, we've got several studs that we can use to do that with. We're going to use an M6 flange nut. Just put that ring terminal right over one of those studs, and we can install the nut. Now, if you don't want to go get an M6 flange nut, which I think is going to be a really good option for securing this, you can also use your body metal there and the provided self-tapping screw. Now, while we've got good access, we're going to connect our 12-volt power wire that we need to get to the battery. We'll strip that off. That's going to go to the black wire coming out of our converter box. We'll place on a standard butt connector here since we are going to be inside of the vehicle with this connection. Let's give it a good pull. Make sure you can't bring it apart. We're going to extend our green wire. And I'm going to run my 4-pole wire, my green wire, and my black wire just over here by the spare tire. I'm going to pull those both down. I'm going to throw a zip tie around the bottom side there just to kind of keep everything in one package. I'm going to use a little bit of rubbing alcohol to get that cleaned off really well, and also our mounting surface. We just make sure those are laying over there towards the center, and we'll be ready to put our panels back in, align our tabs, and click it in position. Now you just pull out on that weather stripping, and that's going to go right back around that panel. Now, our customers requested that we run his wiring to the outside of the vehicle, so we're going to show you how to do that now. If you don't want to do that, or if you don't want to take that approach, you really don't have to. Typically, your wiring would just be stored down here. You bundle it up and store it down here in your spare tire well. We are, as we said, running it to the outside, so I'm going to get this spare tire out of the way and locate a grommet below it we can use to get to the exterior. Now, depending on your application, you may or may not have this subwoofer. If you do, you want to remove it, then the spare tire. There's a little clip here. Just going to work that out. That'll allow you to push the button and release the latch. Now, for the power wire, we're going to go right through this grommet. That'll allow us into the frame rail, and we're going to come out of an access hole, which we'll show you when we go underneath. Just going to use a drill large enough to allow that wire through. Pretty thin material. We'll take that, put a slight bend in it so it'll work towards the front of the vehicle. Place that in and slide it through. Poke quite a bit of it in there. That's going to increase our odds of finding it underneath the car there. Now, the 4-pole wire, that's going to be bunched up, and it's going to stay kind of right here in the spare tire compartment. Use our dust cover to secure it. Bring my cover around. Now kind of hold it in one package down there out of the way. Our single green wire, we're going to run that right across the rear edge here and up to our factory connector on the other side. Now we'll just bring that up, reach down in and pull it through and get it connected. You get a little bit of excess wire there, so one more zip tie and just secure that up. Now, our 12-volt wire is going to be right in the frame rail here. So we'll get that pulled down. We'll pull out all the slack we have from up above. Now, with that all pulled through, I'm going to fill that gap in with some sealant. Now, with everything tidied up, we'll just get all of our stuff put back in here in the rear hatch, get it all re-secured. Down here on this rear scuff plate or panel, you also want to pull that weather stripping out so it sits on top. Now we'll start securing our 12-volt power wire as we run it forward. The main things we need to watch out for are going to be sharp metal edges, any significant sources of heat, any pinch points, really just anything that might cause damage to our wire. You just get it secured as well as you can all the way up to the front of the vehicle. We're going to the driver's side underneath the hood, that's where our battery is located. Now, once we come around from where the parking brake cable is, we're gonna go right over top of this bracket, and then we can run right through this channel. It'll keep our wire up and very well protected. Now we can come up and bring our wire on through. Once I get it on the top side here, I like to use another zip tie to provide a good anchor point. That way it'll never swing down or hang down below the vehicle. We'll bring our wire up. I'm gonna make a small loop so I have just a little bit of extra. I'm gonna snip that off and get it stripped back. This is where we're gonna add our heat shrink butt connector. And to the other side of that, we're gonna add our fuse holder. Now to get that shrink down, you wanna use a heat source. It can be a lighter, it could be a mini torch, or it could be a heat gun, of course. You just want to gently heat it so it shrinks down around our wire. And when it's fully shrank, it's going to look like the wire gets bigger, almost like it's magnified. There's also a little bit of clear gel that kind of comes out of the end there. It's going to give us a nice watertight connection, so we won't have to worry about any corrosion. On the other end of our fuse holder, we're going to add the provided ring terminal. We're going to pop this cover open. See right here, we've got a stud. We'll be able to use that to connect our ring terminal to. I'm going to use a 12mm socket to loosen it. Place our ring terminal right down on, and then replace our nut. Just going to make a small loop with that. Should allow that cover to close back down. We can slide our fuse in, cap that off, and a couple more zip ties just to tidy up our excess here. Now with everything hooked up, we're ready to test out our wiring and make sure it's working properly. Now to test out our wiring, we're going to use part number I26, just a standard 4-pole tester. And as we go through the lights, we should see the LEDs come on and go off. We're going to start by turning on our running lights. Now the left blinker, try our right blinker, and our brakes. Now with everything working properly, that's going to complete our installation of the Curt T-connector vehicle wiring harness with the 4-pole flat trailer connector. Part number is C56363 on our 2017 Buick Encore.